Most people think that if they hire an assistant or have AI or virtual assistants, their problems are going to go away. And that is just not the truth. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I use AIs and VAs to run my multi-million-dollar real estate enterprise. I'm Ross, been flipping houses for over 15 years, done 300 of them. I own 150 rental units, bring me a couple $1,000,000 in rental revenue per year. Pretty awesome stuff. The greatest part is I have no payroll prison. I do not have employees on staff in my real estate business. Now, I use a lot of vendors. As we've talked about in the previous videos, this is actually part of a series, and I've talked about vendors versus employees and how I utilize that, what a solopreneur really is, and the different types of vendors and how you utilize that correctly. And in this video, we're going to go through the type of vendor that I call support stack. That's part of the pyramid. And really, this is about how you take care of all the crap that comes at you. Now, in the last video, we talked about how little things come up throughout all the different little things that you have to take care of, like mail, like maintaining your CRMs, like paying taxes, paying bills, creating bills. Those are all little pieces of cholesterol. And as just like a heart attack, what happens is cholesterol builds up over time, and eventually it constricts the blood flow to the point where you have a heart attack. And this is what happens in people's businesses as well. Okay. And they don't even understand it's happening. And so what people want to do is they want to, I just got to get an AI agent, or I just got to get an assistant, and all these problems will go away. But the truth is, all of that messiness, that sloppiness still exists. And hiring those people only makes it worse, because they're not going to figure it out for you. Because here's the thing. There's multiple workflows here. There's really 3 different ones. Actually, I don't even have to show you on here because I put this up on my website. Okay, so there's deterministic workflows, decision workflows, and judgment workflows. And let me explain what each one of those are, and then I'll explain how you end up hiring these things out. So you have a deterministic workflow is like code. Think code. It's A to B to C to D the same way every freaking time. Okay, and that's how you write code for like a software program. This happens this way every single time. Every time this happens, this thing happens, then this thing, and the more perfect you can get it, the better it is. Okay, that's a deterministic workflow. Next is a decision workflow. This is where you go from A and then you go to either B, C, or D. All right, there's a decision to make. But generally, that decision is inside of a box that you have already created. Okay, this is how our organization makes decisions. So when you're faced with A, here's the decision you need to make. And then there's judgment workflows. This is, you're at A, and the thing that comes at you, you've never seen before. You need to think through it and make a judgment. And then ultimately, the goal here, guys, is you're always trying to make everything as deterministic as possible. Because when things are deterministic, here we go. I am going to this right now. When things are deterministic, okay, it can be an automation or code. This is like you can have these things automatically done for you all the time, easily, without fail. You know that it is a stable, secure thing that is going to work without fail. Okay, now the next step, or the next thing here, the decisions. All right, this is where AI and VAs come in. Okay, so I got AI, VAs, or even assistants. Okay, I have terrible handwriting. That's why I do the website thing. And here mostly is going to be self. Okay, now I do want to explain this a little bit. The judgment stuff is self. Okay, so you have to think these things through. All right. Oh gosh, sorry. The one other thing, the operating system comes below all this stuff, and that's a whole series that we made before. You can find those videos on my website. The operating system, the second brain. In fact, I did a full 2-hour course on my main channel at Ross Paller. Okay, so you reach a judgment workflow, and what you are trying to do, what your goal is to bring that into a deterministic workflow, to think through it to where you can make it deterministic. Not everything can be deterministic because there's too many variables. Therefore, that would be a decision type of workflow. And that's where you have people in positions to do things. Like classically, it would be an assistant. I would have an assistant come in and do those things, but you are not going to have an assistant make judgment calls on your behalf unless you have an assistant that has been around for a long time and they really know your process and they know you really well, and they have grown as a person, or you're as a person and an employee, and so on and so forth. Or you hire a high level individual that costs a lot of money. Now, most small businesses, most real estate empires, enterprises cannot support a high-end, I'm talking 6-figure salary plus type of person who is going to make judgment calls like you are going to. So most likely, you are going to be the one at the top of the pyramid that's making these judgment calls. Maybe you do build your business big enough to where you hire in a CEO or somebody who's making these higher level decisions. But anyway, now on the decision workflows, there are different levels here. So I made the scale, right? There's deterministic. Okay, that happens the same way every single time. This is automation, Zapier, make.com, or writing hard code, which, you can actually use AI to write deterministic code for you that builds, you're basically building a software for yourself is what's happening when you're doing something deterministically. Okay, and then the delegation gradient here. Bounded decision, managed judgment, owner judgment. That's really the scale here. So when I'm working with AI, okay, it's something that's not quite deterministic. These are like the AI agents that I have working with me. And we're going to go through like everything I actually have them do. But it's not deterministic. There is a decision to make. So it's not just A to B. It's A to B or C. They have to make a decision, but they're making a decision based upon what they've been trained on. So I have a thing that I call Omega. This has like my Google Drive, all my text messages, my phone calls that are transcribed, the YouTube videos that I make. It's got all that stuff inside of it, and it's been chunked up, and it's been put in this database to where the AI agent can call that, and it can decide what decision it thinks that I would make. Okay, if I stay lower on the scale, it usually gets it right. It does things for me. It's freaking awesome. Okay, if I try to go too far, I get pissed off because I'm like, what? That's such a stupid decision. And then I'm like, oh yeah, well, how could it have possibly known what I was thinking? It's a freaking robot, right? Okay, now, so there's some certain line here, indeterminate, but undeterminate. Oh, okay, where I need a person that's going to make decisions here. Okay, now it used to be that you would have an assistant do this. Okay, but you can just have VAs do it, a virtual assistant, somebody who's a offshore employee. Most people would know like a Philippines VA. They're all over the place. Okay, and they're making decisions for me. And it's kind of like, okay, if they don't need to physically be here to do things, why not, right? Fraction of the money, but you're still paying them well. It's not like they're, getting the short end of the stick here. They're getting paid, the VAs that we have with us actually get paid more than their, contemporaries or whatnot. And the Thing is, they work hard. It's just like somebody that was sitting in your office. Okay, you have a meeting with them every week and you go over things and you say, hey, here are all the things on my plate using my operating system. And I'm going to delegate these to you. Let's talk about the things that were delegated to you last week. It's awesome. Same as somebody here, except for there are needs for errands. Okay, so there is a necessity, especially in this business, to have people who go out and do things like put signs in the yard, get a lockbox on the door, whatever. I need you to take these papers up to blah, blah, blah. You could do those yourself, but the whole idea of the support stack is to try to take things off of your plate. So a couple ways to do it. I'll tell you what I do is usually I add this to somebody's stuff. All right. So we talked about in the last video how you're like always trying to offload these support stack items. And that's what I do. So like lockbox, I just include that in with a contractor. Hey, could you put a lockbox on that door as part of what you do here? And usually it's like, doesn't even cost you anything extra. All right. You want to be reasonable about this. You do want to offer up money, but a lot of times you can get these things done if you're planning ahead. That's why operating system is always the base of the deal here, because if you're disorganized, none of this works. You got to be organized. You got to know what you want. You have to have thought through the things. You have to have made the judgments and made the workflows and understand your processes so you can figure out how to delegate and offload properly. So let's go through it. Exactly the things that I have AI and VAs do. So let's start with AI. All right, let me just explain this really quick. Basically, there are AI agents. Agentic AI has really taken a leap forward. It used to be a lot, you would just like chat with Chat GBT or whatever, and it would, have cool ideas for you. Awesome. All right. But, in the last 6 months to a year, it's really taken steps to be able to go do things on your behalf. It like has access to your tools and can go do stuff. And it's freaking awesome. Okay. But you got to build it. Okay. And so, I've spent a lot of time building out all those things because the idea of, thinking through things to make them as deterministic as possible, but not even needing to be fully deterministic, and being able to have these scripts written for it, for lack of better words. You basically like train it in markdown files and such. But anyway, it's basically like job descriptions is a good way to explain it. They're called skills, but they're job descriptions. This is how you do this workflow, this process. And every time something messes up, I get to update it. I actually have the AI update it. Like, hey, you messed this thing up. Let's improve that workflow this way. And each time it gets better and better. And so that is an asset. And my philosophy is all about assets. We're always thinking in assets. So the workflow itself and the way it's written is an asset. And it's getting better every time it runs. But also the AI is getting better all the time. So those two things together, it's just, that is where the focus should be. It's beautiful. And it's like very cheap to run AI doing this stuff. Even on the most expensive models, it's way cheaper than a person. Okay. And for certain things, that's great. I'm not even going to get into the whole, stuff about people being freaked out about jobs. If AI can take your job, you need to get better. That's all I have to say about that. It shouldn't be able to take your job if you're working on yourself like we do here. It won't be able to do what you can do, but these small support stack things, it can do, and it can do it well, and it gets better every time. And it's an asset that you own as a business owner. That's what you should be thinking about. Okay. So these workflows, these skills, here they are. These are the list of ones that I've built and operate, implement, and use on a regular basis in my business. And I put them on that little website that I spun up for you. And I didn't spin it up for you. Obviously, I had AI spin it up. Right? Yeah. Why do you think I do this? Because, it just does it for me, which is great. It's not perfect. Okay, but this is for like me and you. I'm trying to get you information. I'm not trying to package it perfectly. But if you were good enough at working with AI on design stuff, it could package it perfectly. It's happening all over the place. So 3 different areas. And if you watch my last video, you would definitely know that, or my last series on the operating system. But there's 3 main sections of my business, 3 divisions. Deals, that's like jobs, that's buying new houses and such. And then there's jobs, that is the houses that I bought. I'm working on them to get them to either sold or rented out and refinance. And then there's operations. This is like everything else, the support of my business. Support was probably a bad word since what we're talking about, but you get it. Okay, so deals. I have built workflows to run comps for me and do property lookups to make sure there's no like easements and things like that. Obviously, it runs comps within the parameters, my strategies for running comps. Done other videos on that, by the way. And skip trace owners. Okay, when I'm going to buy a property, it looks up the owner, it finds their phone number, it finds out, it finds their Facebook profiles, LinkedIn, all that. So I can find out the information about the owner so I can contact them better or understand who I'm dealing with. Build and organize marketing lists. So I send mail out. It builds my lists for me, once again, based on my parameters. And it tracks foreclosures and auctions, through the newspaper, through different sources. It finds all of the foreclosures that are coming up, the auction dates, what I expect to be there. And then, obviously, then I use my comping tool to find those things. It actually sends mail and email in cold email campaigns. We have this whole process where, it sends A/B testing mail to the different neighborhoods that I send mail to, and keeps track of it all. And it updates my deal CRM and makes contracts. It's awesome. If I, hey, I'm going to go on an appointment with this person, go ahead and write up the contract. And then it prints it straight to my printer over there, builds website and landing pages. So sometimes when I send mail out, I am trying different messages. That's what I say with A/B testing. Okay, here's the message that I use all the time. Let me try this different messaging for this group of people and also make a landing page that matches. That way, if they go to my website, they have a message that matches the mail that I sent them. Okay, and obviously the email that I send that person as well gets matched up. All done by AI. I'm just sitting here talking in a chat saying, hey, run the, skip trace this person, and it knows how to do that. All right. It's freaking great, guys. All right. Jobs. This is the actual projects that I'm on. So pulls permits, does inspection scheduling, right? It knows how to do those workflows in my specific system. Scope of work maker. Generally, like the way this works is it is more of a chat-based thing. I was even doing this back with ChatGPT, but built parameters on how I want my scope of work done. And I basically just talk to the thing. I make a voice memo and send it on to the AI, and it makes the scope of work for me, puts it in my system the way that I like it. Logging contractor bids and bills when I go to pay somebody, for instance. So I get the bid from the person, it puts it in my system that I showed you in the last series, and it's in my system. And then that person asks for a bill or asks me to write them a check. The AI goes in and it says, oh, okay, they want a check for $2,000. The pictures look like some work has been done since the last ones. There's still $8,000 left on this $10,000 bid. And so do you approve it? Yeah. All right. I'll go ahead and approve that. So it puts all the information in front of me so I can approve it. And then it goes and it actually puts a check in my QuickBooks and prints it off to the printer because I print my checks, and then I just sign it and give it to the contractor. That's awesome. Yeah. Project planning organization. So I'd say project planning, my, database where I do PM planning. Basically, I record the phone calls that I have with contractors, or meetings that I have with them. And as we go through these things, it's going to update it takes the transcript, updates my PM planning database based upon that. That's how I operate all these projects. That's how I operate lots of projects as one guy, because the AI is doing the hard work for me and I'm just scanning through, getting information, making decisions. Draft vendor emails and project updates. One of the things that I do is have it go into the PM planning database, and then it says to each one of the contractors, shoots them an email or a text that says, hey, these are the main priorities this week. This is the stuff you have on your plate. Just want to make sure. And it's doing that based upon the database that has already been updated, usually based on the phone calls that I had with them. Keeps the project memory across the different, emails, text messages, my Google Drive, like different documents that I'm getting in. So just as an example, the other day, property management company was having an issue with one of my properties. There was a water line, and one of the workflows is when they send one of those messages, the AI goes in and it searches the Omega is what I call it, the brain that has like collected all my stuff for years. And it goes in and it checks on that property, has there been any other water line issues or any other related issues? Sure enough, 4 years ago, in a phone call that I had, it found that we were talking about the same exact water line issue that just came up. And I was able to look back like, hey, didn't somebody already fix this? Like, what the hell is going on? Obviously, I wasn't going to hold their feet to the fire for 4 years ago. But sweet that I was able to collect that information or recall that information. Okay, operations, call, text, email triage. If you watched my operating system video, you know that I am notorious for I only check my email once a week. But I have AI that goes in and it reads through the emails that are sent in a day and says, hey, it sends me a private message that says, hey, you might want to go read this one, that it's critical. Okay, that's how I'm able to get away with the once a week thing. It drafts emails for me, phone call whisper and note taking. I already mentioned that. It, looks at the transcripts. It's legal to do that in Tennessee, by the way. Update CRMs and databases. You got it. There's property management reviews. This is a big one. As I mentioned, 150 properties, a lot of work goes into all of that. But what happens is it reads the reports at the beginning of every month when I get paid out. There's a whole process that it goes through, looks at the money that has come in to me, looks at what's supposed to come in, finds any discrepancies, finds maintenance issues that exceeded the maintenance limit. So each property has a maintenance limit. Like if it's more than $200, you need to let the owner know to approve or deny. It looks for all the things where those misses happen, money that's owed to me from tenants, bad tenants, where there's upcoming end to leases that we should be thinking in advance on renting out. That's a review that it does once a month. There's lots of other things, just trying to get your brain juices flowing on the possibilities, because everybody, when AI, like agentic AI comes up, everybody's like, oh, well, I just don't know how it will work in my business. And I remember standing there with some people who had really taken on the agentic AI stuff, and they were talking about it. And I had that same response. It is a response that everybody I've known has given. And as I was driving home that night, I was like, oh, what an idiot. That's so closed-minded of me to say that my business, the same as everybody else's business, doesn't have an opportunity for that. So I went home, and really dug deep into it. And well, here I am. You see that I found some uses, and you'll find some uses too. You just have to focus on it. And I encourage you to get on the train here. Okay. It's, I don't know if that's the right verbiage, but yeah, it's such an opportunity, and it's not going away. You're not going to hate it away. It's coming. It's too good to not come. That's how good it is. There is no stopping it. Okay. And then VAs. So I also put this stuff on here, and remember the idea here is, I'm in this area here, deterministic to bounded decision. with AI stuff for now. It's getting better and better, but there still needs to be a human in the loop that makes decisions. So here are some of the things that I have that I work with my VA on. They'll process administrative inbox items. They follow up with some vendors, title companies, lenders. They do the tax payments. They maintain some CRMs that I don't have the AI do, that maybe is a little bit too non-deterministic. There's a whole list here. I'm not going to go through any more of that stuff. And look at it if that's something you're interested in doing. But I'll tell you that it should certainly be a consideration of you. If you are thinking about having an assistant in your office, you should think about looking into a VA first. And you should certainly be looking about how you get some of the support things done via AI. And I'm telling you that if you can't do it, it's because you haven't taken enough time to do the judgment workflows. You haven't taken enough time to think through how these things work for you. You haven't taken enough time to build your operating system underneath, because if you had, you would find the reasons for all of these things. And remember, the asset is you and these things, your operating system, your way of thinking through things, the organization of the chaos of this business. Those are the assets, and everything else is a tool. And I'm telling you, you should use the cheaper, more consistent tools if you've done the work that you need to do. That's my philosophy. We have a free, for now, school community. It's linked in the description. Talk about a lot of these things. Okay. And obviously house flipping in general. This is the support of the house flipping enterprise, the one-man house flipping business. But check out that free, for now, school community. And this whole video was part of a series of 5 videos. Next one coming up is the tactical ways that I profile vendors, scout them, manage them, and rate them. And that's the last in the series. I hope to see you there.